Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Daytona International Speedway, where tonight the Outlaw eSports Super Late Model Series take on the high banks of Daytona, 2.5 miles out there, 40 laps, two different segments, by the way. And tonight, on this Wednesday evening, I'm joined with my cohort from Charleston, South Carolina. Is it Charleston? Yes, it is. I keep thinking Columbia, but that's where your father lives. Bucky Burt, dude, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, and not anymore, Ray. He's back. He's down here in Charleston, but
he moved down there.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the booth with you tonight after a week off. It's my favorite racetrack, Daytona. At least on iRacing it is, and in person.
Well, if you think about it, it's a great equalizer. I mean, a lot of guys can go out there and run up and down with the throttles, short track racing, 1.5 miles where they got to realize where to control the car. Right now with these guys, it's going to be mostly flat out, a little bit of trailer braking here and there, and a lot of drafting. Of course, even with these super late models, that's exactly what you're going to get. Xfinity cars, Cup cars, been out here. Of course, a lot of other cars when it comes to the road course. But again, tonight, flat out, probably about 180 to 190 miles an hour with these really low-to-the-ground cars. Again, super late models, roughly about 500 to 600 horsepower in these V8 engines, and wide tires, wide stance, and really low to the ground. So again, high speeds are going to happen out here. Drafting, obviously, is a practice that they're going to have to get used to pretty quick. Right now, Bradley Wilson to the top of the board. He's only done his first lap. He's in the 151 machine at 48.379.
Yeah, the super late models at Daytona, you never thought you'd ever see that, right? Well, on iRacing, it's a more common thing. And I didn't start seeing it until COVID hit, Ray. And iRacing kind of took the center stage. And you had guys on Fox Sports and NBC covering these races. And they said, hey, let's take some super late models and go to some of these big tracks. And kind of brings back memories of the IROC days. So this should be a fun race. I'm excited to see these cars zoom around here on the high banks of Daytona. And as I said all that, we have a new guy atop the board, Ryan Joyner in the number 15 car. He's got a qualifying lap of 47.845, and that's actually quicker than his practice time. Followed by Ryan will be Kernan Church with a 47.850. And then, as I said, that Garrett Maines tops the leaderboard now. And now Andrew Navarro tops the leaderboard. So these times are starting to come in as we speak.
Okay, I had a problem with the button there. That's why you couldn't hear me. I didn't know I wasn't broadcasting. So that all being said, Garrett Maines now going to the second to the outside of the top of the board of Andrew Navarro. Navarro, 47.817. Now, the way these qualifiers work with most any track is you get out there your first lap, get it really wound up. And, of course, Daytona, you want to go to the high side because it's longer on the top of the track than it is on the inside. So as these guys get these motors wound out to as far as they possibly can go on the second lap, they hit the bottom and they try to hug that yellow line. And as they do so, obviously the time's going to get quicker. They're a little bit faster as they hit the start-finish line. And with that all being said, Navarro is putting on a time right now and kind of taking them to school with a 47.817. And everybody only has 30 seconds to get their laps done. So right now, 12 guys have qualified. There's actually, let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 cars here tonight. Everybody goes on to the feature. 40 laps for the Sneak Competition Designs 40. So again, that's the first segment of 40 laps. We'll get that done. We'll go back into another server and we'll do another set of 40 laps. So that's going to be, well, basically a lot of fun, 80 laps around here tonight, again, with these late models.
Now, Ray, one thing I wanted to ask you when it comes to these super late models, they're really designed for short tracks. So
Correct.
Up here in Daytona on the high banks, how do these bumpers line up? Are we going to see some bump drafting tonight, or are these guys just going to get turned?
That's actually a good question. I've actually spotted for a couple late models myself in the real world. I've dealt with them, worked on them. The bumper's very low in the front, and the rear end is way up in the air. But if you look, maybe about 3 inches on top of the front bumper and roughly about the same on the rear bumper is where they will touch. So here's the deal. Even iRacing physics put this into play. So if you can get into the back of somebody and push them, bump drafting is going to be a factor, but I don't know how these guys handle in the draft compared to like a squared off cup car or a truck where they punch a big hole in the air. But these cars here, though, I think if you slam somebody pretty hard, you're going to pull the rear end tires right off the back of the ground. So here's the deal, by the way, Bucky, not to interrupt you, but we're getting our grid up. They're going to get ready for 40 laps already. Our Andrew Navarro is on the point, by the way. Garrett Maines on the outside of the front row. Second row on the inside will be Ryan Joyner in the 15 machine. Kernan Church on the outside. Ron Hart on the inside of the next row in fifth. Lee Morgan on the outside of him in the 43 machine. Billy Gray in the 011. Bradley Wilson is in the 151 in 8th position. 9th position, Bladen Edwards in the 72. And Peyton Howell will round out your top 10.
And I'll take it from there. In 11th place will be Ricky Howell in the number 2 machine. Derek Fulton in 12th. 13th will be James Seawright. He is the last one to take a time. 14th will be Jared Torres, Brendan Hawk, Curtis Critchley, Austin Thiel, Mike Adamson, Zach Adams, Taylor Peacock, and Chris Johnson are all the drivers that did not take a time. Like I said, 13 drivers took a time here today. The pole speed is 47.817. In 13th place, the last guy to take a time is a 48.465. So these speeds are fairly close, right?
Yeah, one of the things we'll point out, one of the guys on the outside of the front row, Garrett Maines, we want to welcome him into the Coca-Cola e-Racing Series next year. Yes, that's the top-of-the-line iRacing Series that you see people out there like Mike Conte and Ray Alfella, all these guys that are racing for $400,000 this year from Coca-Cola sponsored. You're going to see that number one of Garrett Maines in a Cup car next year. He was just accepted into the Coca-Cola eSports this season today, by the way, for the 2021 season. So keep an eye out for Mr. Garrett Maines tonight to keep that car to the front. Did a fantastic qualifying time, 47.823. Only, let me see, 6.6 thousandths of a second off our Andrew Navarro. But it does take a lot of practice to get a good qualifying position here, but it doesn't take a lot of practice to take and get up front as long as you can work the draft. I think you're going to see these guys in 3, even 2 and 3 wide, at least around this facility once we get going. Their pace laps are on, and the lights are out on the pace car. We're going to let them go next time by.
That's right. The lights are off on the pace car, excuse me. Before we go green, Ray, is there anybody that you have picked to maybe win this 40-lap feature?
Well, let's see. There's a lot of guys in the field that I think that can control these cars very well. But again, I told you before, this is a great equalizer, Bucky. I mean, it's gonna you got to kind of pick and choose before they go. So I'd say give me about 20 laps, and I'll give a pick. But I think they're going to swap positions pretty quick. Pace car is off. We're ready to go green for the first time tonight here on the Flatout Racing Network for this neat competition, Designs 40.
Andrew Navarro and Garrett Maines are going to take the green flag from the front of the field. Garrett Maines has the advantage on the high side going into 1.
Garrett Maines looking to get out in front of Navarro, but doesn't have the room. Navarro to the bottom side. He's got Ryan Joyner behind him, helping him for the push. Garrett all alone on the top side. The bottom 4 at least lined up, but there's a gap between third on back and the front 2 seem to pull away. Gives the bottom wide open for Garrett if he wants it. Not just yet. He's looking for the hole and the help from behind. Look at him come down right now. He's lining up for third place.
Yep, single file for about 6 cars back. Then we're double file with the 43 and the 011 going into 3 and coming into 4.
Navarro goes to the high side, kind of breaks the draft just for a minute up front. He takes and holds off, but looks like the 15 right now of Ryan Joyner goes to the outside. Garrett Maines following below the yellow line. Not sure if they've got a rule here for that yellow line. I'm assuming they do. But it looks like Garrett Maines giving a push to Navarro to the front. A little bit of contact from Ryan Joyner from the 15. That goes into the back of the 1. It looks like we might have some smoke behind us. Just a disconnect rather quick. A few guys kind of flashing, but that all has to do with their connections on their computer. Single file, top 5 pulling away.
Andrew Navarro led lap 1. He's followed by Garrett Maines and Ryan Joyner. Really single file, Ray. These guys are starting to kind of get into a rhythm. We've got a couple of cars in the outside lane, but they're not really going anywhere. Looks like the line is really strong and formed on the bottom.
Yeah, right to the bottom is where you want to be right now. Obviously, that's where the leader Navarro is. If Navarro goes to the outside, he's going to leave himself out to dry, like at any Daytona race. Again, these act a little bit different than your usual Cup cars or Xfinity, but right now the line in the bottom seems to be the dominant place to be. Top 6 right now in line, make it 7, 8, all the way back to the 07 of Jared Torres. Unfortunately, Jared, a little bit of flash there from a 07. This is another thing that takes effect with iRacing. Keep this in mind. If your car flashes, in other words, you've got a bad connection, as we look on board right now, from Garrett Maines. If your car does flash, by the way, it does cut the draft for the car in front and behind you as your cars disappear. So iRacing has taken that into consideration. Unfortunately, you disappear, you lose your draft. Right now, top 5 pull away.
One of the biggest movers in the field is the 07 of Jared Torres. He did not take a qualifying time, and he is up to 8th place on the leaderboard. So we got some of those guys shuffling through the field. Now, Ray, with those guys that are smoking with their connection, is that causing a more susceptible chance of having netcode and maybe causing a big accident?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even if they get a solid one, their ping could be a little bit high, which obviously the connection to the server's a little rough. And the reason you see the smoke is when iRacing brings you back in, the tires stop and it's skidding across the pavement and then they catch up. It's just the way the graphics are set. Obviously, we see the 07 right now of Jared Torres flashing again, as we see on the broadcast here. The back up front, the 6 of Navarro there. 22 of Kernan Church goes to the outside. He is all alone. The 011 below him, Billy Gray, takes that position away from him. That's the top 5. 72 of Bladen Edwards right behind him. That 22 of Kernan Church has got to find his way back to that lower line. Still plenty of laps to go. 4 in. We got 36 to go.
And as you saw on the broadcast, the 07 of Jared Torres, he dropped down to the apron on the straightaway to get out of these guys' way so he doesn't cause an accident. But Andrew Navarro is continuing to lead up front. Garrett Maines in second. Like I said, single file up 10 cars back. The outside line is really, it's just a little line. There's only 4 or 5 cars up there. But the bottom is really strong. So these guys, I think, are just going to ride it out until we can at least get halfway in this race.
Yeah, there is an outside line trying to get there. That's led by Lee Morgan in the 43, as you're seeing here on the outside. Only 3 guys in that line. They're not going anywhere. And one of the things that you were talking about earlier about the bumpers lining up, if we were to get a shot real quick to the front 2, Garrett Maines is riding the rear bumper of Andrew Navarro when they go down the back chute. They're on here turn 1. Keep an eye in here just for a moment. We get down the back chute, and that's where they gain a lot of got a lot of momentum off that bottom side. Going to still also keep an eye on that outside line foreman with the 43, again, of Lee Morgan. Watch that front line. You're watching Garrett. He gets right up on the rear tail of Navarro and pushes him. Of course, he wasn't that time. Here I am kind of calling me a liar. You know, it happens. But nonetheless, Garrett Maines still kind of keeping his own in second place there up front.
Yeah, we had a wiggle in the back. I didn't make out who it was, but they saved it. We're going to stay green and knock off lap number 6 here. We're going to go 7 on the board. Single file still through the majority of the field.
Yeah, one of the things with Torres there, the 07 machine, they asked him to kind of fall to the back, at least get out of the way because of his flashing. He is right now scored in 16th place. That's a 07 machine. I seen the 2 of Ricky Howell Jr. ahead of him just suddenly appear on my screen, so apparently we have 2 guys having some connection issues, but nonetheless still kind of keeping things in line. Back up front, nothing has changed, and the top 6, actually 7 right now in line that bottom side, just kind of holding their own. Now, the other thing, too, I want to point out, you take your Cup car, your Xfinity, you're usually fighting the wheel in this draft where it whips it back and forth. These guys seem pretty steady. I mean, there's a little bit of whipping there. You see the 15 car there hit the apron just a hair. But either way, they're keeping their line as their own. I'm going to keep an eye on that 15 of Joyner just to see if he goes high. Maybe he's trying to feel it out, see if he can get out of line. There is one car way in the back. It looks like Brandon Hawk in 20th. He is out of the draft right now, so we'll leave him back there just for now. Keep an eye up front. Now we have 4 cars on the high side making a line, and they are starting to get some momentum up in that second line.
Now, Ray, one thing I have noticed here with Garrett Maines is he's kind of backed off a little bit of the bumper of Andrew Navarro. Do you think maybe his car is running a little hot? Because I see he's kind of ducking a little bit. Now he's sucked back up to Navarro. Or do you think he's trying to figure out how to get a run for whenever we do get past halfway to maybe make a charge on Navarro and pull out the win here tonight?
No, theoretically, that could be correct, because if you think about it, too, that 15 keeps diving on the line. I thought for sure he had some handling issues. No, I think he might be trying to keep that car cool. So, yeah, that also is taken into consideration in iRacing. Outside line, though, going back to that for just a moment, 5 guys now on the outside line. Make it 6. We had 1 guy come out of the pack there. They're trying to get it formed. We have 32 laps to go. Still plenty of racing left. But here's the deal. They got to take their time and realize when they get up front, just side-by-side racing is going to be tough. When the last probably 5 to 8 laps is when you're going to see all this, well, I don't want to say hell break loose, but a lot of chaos and a lot of people trying to shove each other to the front. A few guys just kind of settle in. The 7 right now, that was Derek Fulton. Shot to the bottom into the back of the 54 of Curtis Critchley. Just about hit his rear bumper. Immediately, Fulton kind of backed out of the throttle and held back on it just so he didn't take and wreck either one of them. Good move on the 7 side of thing. Top 4 on the outside. Kernan Church in the 22, the 43 of Lee Morgan, and it looks like the 151 of Bradley Wilson is now 3 guys. We've got the 141 below the yellow line shoving 3 wide right now, back for 8th position. The 11 bobbles in the middle. Let's see what happens there. Peyton Howell there holds onto it when they were 3 wide. He's still 3 wide right now, trying to hold on to it, but it isn't wiggling as bad when they run on a corner. He almost lost it going into one.
These guys are starting to get aggressive, and last time by on the straightaway, the 71 of Zach Adams dropped into the apron. I said, whoa, these guys, they almost wrecked Ray going into 3. 71 off the racetrack and came back up. It kind of is shaking everything up. Now we've got some new players up front. There's a 2-car battle. Oh, now they're going to go 3 wide. He looked to go 3 wide up front. It looks like the top lane, those 2 guys. Let's see, who is it? I can't see the...
Looks like what is that? 72, Braden Howards, and then the 22 of Curran Church, all on the outside, and they are catching up. They're making momentum. They finally doing a little bit of side drafting with those late models for the first time tonight. We're seeing this. And they're just about door-to-door with the 15 of Ryan Joyner. One of the things I'll point out, you were talking almost with the wreck there with the 7. What it was, the 11 there cut across his nose. That's Peyton Howell. He was the one that had a little bit of control issue with that car for a little bit, and he hit the 7. Both of them kind of kept it straight. The 11 came back up on track, and it looks like we got another outside guy, the number 2. That looks like on my list. I'm trying to find him. I actually missed that. I think he's got a number, if I'm not mistaken.
Which
no,
number
Ricky Howell Jr. I got it right here. Ricky Howell Jr. He's in the third position on the outside line. Actually, he does go to the bottom, forms back in. Curran Church with a little bit of wiggle there, holding on to it. And one thing, Bucky, with these cars, we'll talk a little bit more technical with them. When you drive a super speedway, you want your ratio high. So what that means is if you have your steering wheel and you turn it just a little bit and the ratio is low, your steering and the front is going to go quicker. If it's a higher ratio, it's going to go slower. Well, if they start out at like a 10-to-1 ratio, which is really low, it's going to be hard to keep these cars wiggling from side to side, and you're going to see a lot of them fishtail. But if you get a high ratio, you can usually keep them pretty steady, and a lot of guys have done that long before they take and got out here tonight. Right now, top 2 on the outside line, that looks like the, trying to see on my screen here, the 22 is behind him on the Church. In fourth in the 22 machine on the outside, and he's holding his own, and they are gaining up on Garrett Maines. It looks like he's almost to his back right now.
I was going to ask, Ray, do you think Garrett Maines is going to hop to the outside to either break that momentum or use the momentum? But the answer is no, because now we got a battle for the lead up front.
Side by side rear view cam off of the 6 there, Navarro's car. A little bit of pushing from Garrett. Garrett's realizing he's got to get back into Navarro and get these guys going to the front. And he pulls ahead by about a half a car length.
It's amazing watching this outside line be so strong when the majority of the field is on the bottom. Who is that hopped down low? The 50?
54.
Yeah, 54. He saw a hole. He's like, I don't want any part of the outside up here. I'm going to go down to the bottom. Maybe I can pick off one of these guys.
They're telling the 07, by the way, who had the flashing problem earlier. That's Jared Torres. Unfortunately, he's going to go below the yellow line. They're going to get him off the track, at least out of the way. And we are on a board on the outside line of Curran Church in the 22 machine. Nice shot from our cameraman. By the way, Seth Cole running the cameras, making things happen in tonight. The outside line, the 72 there is Bladen Edwards. He's got wiggling just a hair. They got to get in line. Obviously, they're losing a lot of ground right now on that outside line. If they're not going to have help, the 22 of Curran Church. He's in the a lot of guys come in. Oh, gets hit in the side right now. Unfortunately, he hits Garrett Maines on the way into the pits.
A lot of action here, Ray. Sorry to scream in y'all's ears, but it looks like some of these guys just decided at the last second to go to pit road, and it cost our leaders exponentially. I don't think these guys have a fast repair, Ray.
I don't believe so either. I'll check that out right now. No fast repairs, by the way. They do have an incident limit, which means it's 24x. So I'll explain that really quickly. If you get hit or you lose control or you hit a wall, there's a certain amount of X's that goes against you on this race. So it'll add up after time, obviously. Once you hit 24x, you're going to know it because, boom, your car disappears from the server and you're disqualified. So I was going to say that little wreck right there couldn't have been any more than probably a 4x, but nonetheless, Garrett Maines getting hit, Navarro getting hit. All about announcing coming in, a whole bunch of guys coming out of the pit lane at the same time. And it looks like Garrett Maines is going to be back by the 11 machine. That's Peyton Howell. And behind him, looks like the 72 will get out of Bladen Edwards. So they're all coming out in line trying to get back up to speed. They need drafting help. That is a massive thing here. So that's why everybody went in once they heard one guy was going to go in. They all kind of followed suit. And obviously the second round of pit stops happening right now.
Well, one thing for sure is that entrance to pit road there for the leaders is going to shake up the running order. We saw really the entire field bunched together. There wasn't really much separation. You had some guys up top and the majority on the bottom, but they were all nose to tail. Basically, now what's going to happen is, as you see now, these guys that are leading the field up front, there's a lot of gap in between. And now you've got Garrett Maines making a pass under the 71 of Zach Adams currently for position. These guys are not really synced up together just yet to make a charge, make a run back to the front. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone shakes out. Are we going to have a pack back together, or are we going to have a small pack leading? What are we going to have here? And does the draft actually work here with these race cars?
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of questions that we're going to have to answer here in the next couple of laps.
Well, that's one thing I've been watching right now. Again, I'm keeping my eye on Garrett Maines, who, by the way, is in second place in points and started second in this race, along with Andrew Navarro, who is our points leader after last week at Southern National Motorsports Park. But again, back to Garrett Maines for a minute. If you watch that pack of five, there was three guys together. Excuse me, pack of six, actually. There were three guys together, and the other three ahead of them were all spaced out, like you were saying, Bucky. And once that three pack behind them got up, they just accordioned everything together, got together, and now they are flat out. Right now, Garrett Maines being scored in 9th position. So he does have 8 guys ahead of him, but they are all out of sync from pitting, because you got to remember, Garrett just pitted a little bit ago, and so did Andrew Navarro. Now, Navarro, I don't see him in the
way
pack.
back in 17th.
He's way back,
right?
yeah.
He's
all alone.
Yeah, he's all by himself.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of stuck back there by himself. Yep.
Yeah. And the fact that there wasn't a caution because it was off of the racing surface, it's really changed the outlook of this race. Now, I know you've got some cool technology, Ray. It tells you who was on pit road, when they were on pit road last. Did they take tires? Did they take fuel? What did they do? We got.
The only thing it tells me is when they pitted.
I was born. It was told you if they took fuel or tires.
It's all good, but here's the deal. I think everybody. See, here's the other thing with super speedways, they don't really wear down tires all that much. I mean, they do wear,
right.
But with these guys, I don't think it's going to wear any different than it would be a Cup car and Xfinity in this case. So here's the deal. Everybody that I seen went in and got out so quick. There's no question in my mind. Everybody just took fuel.
Okay.
So
now,
there's nobody that I think took. Yes, sir.
Well, what I was going to ask you, because you see this pack here of the two, Ricky Howell, he's the leader. Yep. And then you look back, now you see Garrett Maines in the blue car coming up behind. So I assume this front pack, they have pitted.
Yes, I believe they have. In fact, I'm going to check that myself just to be safe. It did show everybody on pit lane. I'm looking back.
Okay.
Yes, they did pit on lap 15, by the way.
Right, so these guys, yeah, so everyone's still in the lead lap for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we see is that accident that happened getting on pit road. Look at the separation.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I think, stayed out an extra lap.
Well, they did stay an extra lap, yep.
Yeah, so look at the advantage. They've got an extra lap of fuel, got a pretty good lead. Each pack is roughly the same car count. I think the front pack's got a few cars more. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they've got quite a few more cars than the second pack. So
you say that, and it seems like for some reason my scoring shows everybody pitting in lap 15. So something's not right there. So, but either way, it was out of sync. I know they went around again. I agree with you. Yeah. I'm not sure what happened there. But either way, Ricky Howell, by the way, is your leader, going on a top 10. Ricky Howell Jr., Ryan Joyner in second at 15. 15 did go in the same time Garrett Maines did, so he got back out. Ron Hart, Bradley Wilson, Layden Edwards in the 72. He was on the outside line for quite a while. Curtis Critchley made his way back in. James Seawright there, he is in 7th. Jared Torres, who had the flashing issue, seems to be holding on with that 07 machine in 8th place. And Garrett Maines is starting at the second pack. You see in that blue front nose back there, he is in your top 10.
Well, we are halfway.
Actually, Zach Adams behind him. Sorry, Zach Adams is your top 10.
Yeah, we are halfway, guys. And the biggest loser from that pit is Andrew Navarro, your pole sitter. He is separated from the field. He is a good ways back. He does have drafting help with the 81 of Taylor Peacock. So It'll be interesting to see how this shapes out. I guess what he's banking on is a caution, Ray. That could probably be the one thing that saves his race. I don't know how much damage he has.
I was going to say, now keep in mind there's only 20 cars, but it's not out of the ordinary for the big one to happen. Even it's still super speedway racing. As we look right now, it looks like the 81 machine, Taylor Peacock there, he was drafting with one other guy. I missed that, unfortunately. And that is your second group right there, led by Garrett Maines. Behind him, the 71, that's Zach Adams. And again, Zach Adams, looking over here. Actually, I can't see where he's in the points. So
there is a lap car coming up for the leaders, I believe, from what I can see. So the lap car, I assume, will go to the outside.
No, that all being said, though, the front 5, 6 now make it 7. Just kind of pulling away there, trying to keep that draft straight. The 15, one of the things I discussed earlier was that offset there, excuse me, not the offset, but the ratio. I'm going to believe that the 15 of Ryan Joyner has got his set pretty low because I've seen him fishtail and sway all over the track quite a while. So with that sharpness of a short throw with that steering wheel, just trying to keep it straight there. You come around down turn 1, make it turn 2. 23 laps into this thing. Let's see, 18 laps to go. Now, my question to you is, Bucky, let me ask you this. We're kind of asking them back and forth. Okay. My curiosity is what type of fuel mileage are they getting? They all pitted on lap 15. A majority of them did anyways. Let me see. Fuel limit is 60%, so I'm going to have to say with these tanks, yeah, you're probably going to have to pit every 15 or so laps. I think we're going to get another pit stop out of this because I was wondering.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if it was 15 or 16 laps because it's such a big track with a small tank. If you had to do 2 pit stops, or it was going to be 35 laps on a tank where these guys would go in, and that would be the finish of the race. But I think they're going to have to pit one more time, and we got a split there towards the back. Oh, we got a wreck. The 72 is around.
Well, that's going to change everything. 72 gets turned and into the wall. It collects 2 other drivers, so 3 involved.
That was Bladen Edwards there.
I know Garrett Maines is happy. He could probably get down pit road and fix some of the damage. And definitely Andrew Navarro is probably grinning from ear to ear because this is exactly what he needed.
Well, here we go. Bladen Edwards in the 72, and what happened with him? The 141 of James Seawright got to the bottom of him, and it looks like he thought he had room, but he didn't. The 141 tried to sneak on the inside. If you want to back it up here, we got replay here.
141 has been blinking the last couple of laps. And I was actually going to ask you, Ray, if the blinking at the back of the pack there is going to help Garrett Maines, but just gets into him and turns him. Got 3 guys into the outside wall there.
Yeah, not sure if he read it wrong from his screen or not, but that's exactly what happened. The 141 there, James Seawright just did not have the room to get to the bottom, and obviously the victim of circumstance there, the 72 of Bladen Edwards. We go back one more time for replay. On your Flatout Racing Network replay, you get from the in-car, the 141. You see the bottom, he had it wide open, but there's a tap, second tap, and unfortunately he goes around. So it did look from his screen like he had a chance to get to the bottom, but there just was no room there. And once he hit him once, he didn't back out of it enough time to take the 72 and keep him straight.
That's quite a bit of damage to that 141 machine on the right side. He hit the wall a ton, Ray.
Yeah, I'd like to keep around here, Bucky, just for a couple minutes because I want to see exactly who pits and who doesn't. And let me see, what do we got? We got 25 laps into this. I think they all pit because it's 25 laps in. We were talking about fuel mileage being about 15 to 16, and here they all come around turn 4. I think you're going to see a lot of machines come down pit road, if not all of them. The next question is who can get off quick?
I think they pit and they save fuel, and then we run it out, and maybe we might have some guys run out on the last lap coming to the checkered, but everybody's coming down pit road. I did see one car stay out. I don't know if that's a lap down machine or not. But the leaders and everybody else coming down pit road. I wonder if Garrett Maines, is he going to work on his race car? Is he going to take this time, him and the number 2 of Andrew Navarro? Are they going to take their time and work on their race cars, Ray? Or not? Excuse me, Navarro is not number 2. I apologize.
That's all right. I do believe that's Ricky Howell Jr., by the way. Garrett Maines, he got wrecked there on the way into the pits last time, so he's going to have some time to get repairs. Here's the thing.
He's not going to stay on pit road long, Ray.
No, they're not going to stay on pit road long, but here's the thing. If your car is hurting, like, say, the 141, by the way, Seawright was the one that stayed out, that 141 machine. Not sure what his thinking is on all this, but he's showing 10th place. He is going to be the leader when we come back around.
I wonder if they award points for leading a lap.
That could be it. Could very well be it. And that'll put him towards the back, which would be fine because he can go and get fuel and get done and get his repairs done too. So what I was going to say is, say, for example, the caution here lasts for maybe, oh my goodness, I'd have to say well over a minute, obviously.
Yeah, they're going to save fuel.
Right. They're going to get pit. They're going to get the repairs done as much as possible because aero is a big thing here at Daytona.
And if I'm Navarro, I'm in the back already. Take the time to get the car fixed. And I think he has enough speed to maybe work his way through the pack, come out of here with a decent finish. I don't think he has enough to win the race, but I think he has enough car to get a good finish. Looks like the 150. Oh, excuse me. Who's that? Does that C right? What number is he? 141. He's on the apron. He's coming down to pit road. Looked like he was really, really slow off the pace.
That was a 141?
Oh, yeah, I believe it was. Yep.
No, he was taking his time. He did get some damage out of that. I did see that from the in-car.
Yeah, but he is on pit road now. So obviously the number one machine of Garrett Maines, maybe the damage wasn't as bad as we thought. He had good pace after that pit stop when he got damage coming on the pit road. And he's shown in third place right now. He might be the guy to look at to possibly to get the win here tonight.
Truthfully, I've run against Garrett, and he is one of the smartest guys out there. He uses his brain, uses his courtesy, obviously, kind of getting into spots and such. He doesn't force his way in or anything like that. And personally, he's a killer driver. I do see some separation on his right front fender to the front nose. That's when, again, a little bit of wreck on the way into pit lane the first time around, but nothing serious, really. I mean, the car looks like it's in good shape. No big wrinkles in that number one machine, and I think he's able to continue, and the draft shouldn't affect him all that bad. So if you look at the rear bumper cam here from our leader of Ron Hart, you'll see that left hand is his right-hand headlight, our left-hand side. You'll see a black line between the headlight and that fender, and that's a separation on his body when he got a little bit of wreck. That shouldn't affect him too badly. Pace car lights are out. We're going to go green this time by, Bucky.
Yeah, and there's a league that I race in, Ray, on Thursday nights, and last season at Talladega, at Daytona, we had a guy flip and come back and win the race. He finished backwards. So you can win here in a wrecked race car, that's for sure. But lights are off on the pace car. He's going to duck down on pit road right now, waiting on that green flag to come out. Green flag is out. The number 87 of Hart's your leader, 15 of Joyner, and Garrett Maines in third.
Hart jumps away rather quickly, but the problem is you don't want to get away from your draft because once they get a draft going behind you, they're going to catch you pretty quick. On the outside, Ryan Joyner looks to be all alone, but some help is coming behind him. That looks like the number 2 of Rick Howell Jr. Oh, Garrett Maines gets in the back of the 87. He spins, able to hold onto it, and the race continues. Everybody's straight, clean and green.
Well, one thing that does, Ray, is it tightens up the field a little bit because on that restart, these guys spread out. And I was really worried about Andrew Navarro and possibly making his run back through the field with the spread out. That slip there up at the front of the pack, it really bunched these guys back up. Garrett Maines is going to lose a spot. He's going to drop to 4th right now as we come back to the line. 28 on the board, coming to lap 29 here.
13 laps to go. Garrett Maines in third. Critchley there is in 4th. On the outside of him, though, the number 2 is going to be shown in 3rd. That's Ricky Howell Jr. He is all alone doing some side drafting. A little bit of help, but it's at least 3 to 4 car lengths back. That's the 151 of Bradley Wilson. And right now, the top 3 and make it 4 with that number 2 on the outside are slowly breaking away. But as I say that, Curtis Critchley seems like he's catching back up.
I was about to say, I don't think we're going to stay green for the rest of this raceway. These guys up front are really going at it real hard. They know that the 10 laps to go is coming up in 2 laps. We've got literally a 10-car pack for the lead.
Well, now is the time. It's not necessarily go time yet as much as it is, okay, listen, we're about to take and go to the last 10 laps like you were just saying, Bucky. And, man, they're trying to get it on. We're seeing some side-by-side racing, 2 lanes for the first time tonight. The 2 of Ricky Howell Jr. slows up a little bit. The Roos' rear end just for a second back there. Coming out of turn, let's see, that was turn 4, I believe, or 2. 2. There is a little bit of slippage from that, too, but we're going to see him kind of straighten it up. Garrett Maines right behind him, giving him a slight shove, but obviously a shove from the inside. Ron Hart into the back of the 15 of Ryan Joyner.
Business is picking up, Ray. These guys are pushing. They're using their bumpers. Garrett Maines is...
Oh, the 15 just went down to the grass. Oh, there's a backtrack, and he causes the big one. Pile up on a turn 4, our second caution of the night. Garrett Main's involved in that. He is up on his lid, finally flipping that car over, and it looks like just loss of control. Maybe a tap that put 15 down there. We'll see if we can get a replay up here on.
I'm sorry, Ray.
You're all right, buddy.
I don't understand. To me, him coming back up onto the racetrack looked intentional. I'm not here to call. I'm not trying to call anybody out. But I really don't see how it snapped.
Well, we see the 87 bobble here. Garrett Maines comes down. He gets up. What happened? What looks like he tapped the rear end of the 2, unfortunately, and the 2 just bobbled just a hair. Come down, caught the 15, and the 15 went down. I don't know. I can't really honestly call that. He turned the wheel to the right. Can we get an onboard shot of the 15 on the replay, please?
And I want to see the steering wheel if we can.
Yeah, I don't think it's intentional personally, but when you get going that fast, there we go.
Just curious because I just don't see how he would shoot back up into the track.
Yeah, on board of the 15 of Ryan Joyner. Here we go. He gets turned down through the grass. He does have it to the right, trying to come back up on Speedway, but that's a tough call.
I've never driven these super late models at Daytona, and maybe that's what happens once you carry that much of speed in these cars in the grass. So my apologies for assuming.
Yeah,
we're here to call the race, and to me, just looking at it, it just looked like don't know how you could. It just looked like you just shot it right back to the right. But
here's the deal: they're going into a corner too. Keep that in mind. Your car is going about 180 miles an hour, so turn it to the left. There's no traction in the grass. So he got bumped. There's Maines. The 2 comes down, hits the 15. So he's going straight. I mean, plain and simple, he tried to keep it down there. I think if he turned it to the left a little bit more, it may help, but maybe not. Because, again, there's no traction down in the grass. And I hate to say it, let the officials kind of sort that out. But nonetheless, I mean, it's their call at this point. Garrett Maines, I see there in the 1 on the replay, all tore up.
He definitely didn't lift there.
Oh, yeah. He did go pretty quick down through there, almost like he would. It almost sounds like he wanted to get back up there, keep leading the race, and then obviously everything went AWOL from there. Yeah.
Well,
that'd be my guess.
If you want a car count of who was involved into that wreck, let's just say everybody, because that's what it looked like.
Well, if you appreciate, first of all, we appreciate you watching tonight here on Flatout Racing Network. If you like what you see, like what you hear, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share. Put it out there. These are the super late models they run every week here. And basically the Outlaw eSports super late models, and they've got a couple races left yet. I believe 3 or 4 before the end of the season, just before Christmas. And this is a sneak competition designed 40. And you're going to see another race of 40 laps here at Daytona with these guys here shortly after this one. 32 laps in, only going to be 8 to go as they cross the stripe coming down here on turn 4. So don't go away. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back with you in a short bit. Just joining us live, coming back out of turn 4. The pace car lights are off. We're ready to go green. This time by going to be a 7-lap shootout. A couple guys still survived that. And, man, a few beat-up cars are going to be in the back. I seen Garrett Maines kind of catching back up. Pace car's off. We can hit the loud pedal for Rick Howell Jr. anytime, and he'll do that right now with a push from the 43 of Lee Morgan behind him.
Yeah, and looks like the 54 of Curtis Critchley coming from 16th place on the grid. He's going to shoot out and take the lead.
Curtis Critchley, one of the guys I watched, he's been shifting lanes all the way back up through. He's getting out a little too far. You don't want to do that here at Daytona because, again, you get that pack behind you that forms up. They're going to be faster than you. They're going to get to the outside whenever they have an opportunity, and they're going to go right by you. On the board right now, Ricky Howell Jr. in that number 2 machine, right behind the 54 of Critchley. Catching up to him, not speeds that I expected off the bat. Of course, takes him about 2 laps to get up this full song here, but he's holding his own in second place. Outside line, trying to form 5 deep. Not going anywhere just yet. 6 to go at the line.
One guy you got to give an attaboy to is that the red car there on the bottom, 4th car in line. That's Andrew Navarro. He dominated the early portion of this race. When they came down for their pit stops, he got caught up in an accident coming to pit road. He was off the pace. Then the caution came out. He was able to get that car fixed, rejoin the field. That was a nice shot there of his nose. Looks like he's driving a Honda Accord.
I seen that.
Yeah, that was interesting. Pretty cool to see. Hopefully, we can get Honda in the sport of NASCAR one day. But anyway, he's in 4th place on the bottom, and if this stays green, nothing happens. He's going to come out of here with a decent finish when it all almost looked like he lost it.
To give you an idea, by the way, how fast these guys are going, is Curtis Critchley, by the way, 191 miles an hour, peaked down the backstretch with that draft. And he is in the front. It looks like the 43 is looking to sneak to the outside. Lee Morgan, no room now. The 53 closes up that quite quickly. Brandon Hawk, one of the guys we haven't talked about all night long, has made his way up to 4th place. He's in a pack of 5 on the outside. A little bit of shuffling going on. Navarro, a little bit of door touching there, almost close enough that they can touch him anyways. Top 5 going pretty hard. The 71 of Zach Adams disappears. He's second in line on the outside, 5 deep. And right now it seems to be even speeds, but again, you haven't seen the last of this. 5 laps to go is what we're on.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, and all you Garrett Maines fans, he was involved in that wreck a few laps ago. At the start of the race, he did manage to catch the field, but he is way off the pace now. Out there in no man's land by himself. But Critchley, Howell, and Morgan are your leaders up front.
Don't worry, he'll have a reset here in the second laps of 40 coming up right after this race. Again, 4 laps to go before we complete this one. Critchley out in front on the bottom side. Ricky Howell Jr. in second on the bottom side. 43 of Lee Morgan right behind him. That's what I was going to say. Navarro right behind him. And right alongside of him, the 53 of Brandon Hawk. The outside line has got to get more help. If not, they got to start side drafting because I've noticed they don't go anywhere unless they get really close door to door with the bottom side and slow them down. And that's like the 53 just did Hawk there. He slowed the 43 for just a little bit. Got back to the outside, separated for about 2 feet or so between them. And it looks like Navarro will have the advantage on the short side on the inside. But they need a straightaway to do it, too. Because if you look right here, the 53 is catching back up. He is half a car length now into the outside of the 43. And as they cross the line, 3 laps to go. And it looks like Critchley is in control.
We did get confirmation during the break that these guys can go 14 laps on a tank of fuel and 15 if they're stretching it. But they might not make it back to pit road. There's no question we're going to be good to go with the cautions that we had and these guys that pitted lately. So we are going to stay. Excuse me. Let me start over here. We are going to have no issues with people running out of fuel as what we thought we might have had. But 3 laps to go, coming to 2 now.
I think I can repeat that because I've done that a few times myself. Regardless, on the inside, Critchley has got this thing. Howell right now in second, 43, top 3. Is kind of not pulling away but holding their own, and they have the option to go to the outside. The 43 doesn't take it. The 53 to the right rear corner. That's Brandon Hawk again leading that outside line. 2 laps to go. Something's going to have to happen right now if anybody's going to take this from Critchley. The 71 giving a nice shove to the 53 on the outside line. Just not enough momentum to go. They do have a straightaway to go, and they're kind of screaming on the radio at each other right now. The 53 does pull up alongside the 43. That's for 3rd place. And it looks like the outside line's finally got momentum as long as they can stay in line, stay square with each other, heading down the backstretch.
Well, what I was going to say is if the 53 can get up there and pull right up to the bumper of where the 2 of Ricky Howell is, I look for the 2 to jump up and possibly take that momentum and try and get past Critchley in the 54.
Well, this is where he's got to do it because it's final lap right now. White flag is in the air, down to turn 1. The number 2 has got to take a shot. Oh, we got a spinner in the back, but the white flag's out. We're going to continue. That's the 81 of Taylor Peacock. I'm not sure who got into it, but we'll keep it green because the white flag is out, and they're not going to call any caution right now. That's the way iRacing's program. Critchley is holding his own on that bottom line, the outside line. There's no momentum anywhere. The 53, actually, let me take that back. He's got a shove from the 71. He is up in 3rd place right now. The 2 right now. He's got to make a move. Yep, turn 4 is where they're entering. So here's his opportunity. He's got to do it right now if he's going to do anything. To the outside he goes. The momentum behind him in the 53. 54 has cut the draft. Right 3 wide. 53 on the outside. The 2 stuck in the middle. And you finish right now. Curtis Critchley will bring home your first win tonight in the Steed Competition Designs 40.
What a finish, Ray. What a finish. Critchley's going to pick up the win.
3 wide, that's what you want, man.
Yeah, 3 wide for 3rd place there.
Fireworks going off. Critchley will take and see if we can get an interview with him very shortly. If we could, we'll get him up here in the broadcast booth, talk to him in the top 3 if we can find him here. That's Ricky Howell Jr. in 2nd, Lee Morgan in 3rd. And I think we'll do that right after we get him up here. Seth, if you could do that for us, we'd appreciate it. If he's available. If he's not, just let us know. Ricky Howell Jr. and Lee Morgan. We want to get some words with them. Obviously, Curtis Critchley, the winner here. That's definitely who we want to talk to before we swap to the second servant.
Is it?
We can do that. Ricky Howell Jr. will bring him up for a little talk here and see what he thinks about his finish here tonight at Daytona. Ricky Howell Jr., Ray Richer, and Bucky Bird up here in the booth, man. Great 2nd place, great run. Did you think you had it if you did a little bit of an earlier shot to the outside line? That's what our curiosity is.
No, I was just gonna sit behind Curtis and push him to the win because that big wreck happened. We got left front fender damage and some hood damage, so I figured if I pulled out there, I'd be set. So I stayed behind him as long as I could, and then they went beside me there off 4, so I jumped up just to see if we could do anything, but it hit a brick wall like I figured it would.
Well, one of the things we were watching for, you did go 3 wide there, at least for 2nd and 3rd place. You still pulled off 2nd. Congratulations for a podium finish tonight. And, man, we didn't think you would last there in the center, but it was right back to the start-finish line. Is there anybody you want to thank here? Right now is your opportunity.
Yeah, just like to thank Phantom for putting this on and all the guys over there and just everything they do. And for y'all doing an excellent job at broadcasting. And congratulations to Curtis on the win.
We appreciate that, Mr. Howell, and good luck in the next 40-lap segment. We'll get loaded here very shortly. Seth, do we have Lee Morgan available? Okay. Bucky, if you want to take that.
Yeah, Ray, and while you're at that, I sent you a message.
Okay, we'll take a look here. Go ahead.
Yep, Lee Morgan, 3rd place finisher in the 43. We've got a copy?
Yes, sir.
How was the race for you? It seemed like it was pretty calm, and all of a sudden, a storm just happened.
Yeah, man, I got lucky on that late wreck there. Just took a little bit of right side damage, and the car still drove straight, so I just took the 3rd place, didn't try to push anything there.
So you started the race in 6th place, kind of just took your time to get there. Do you think you had anything for those guys if maybe Ricky kind of made the move a little earlier, or if you could kind of get in front of the 53 of Brandon Hawk to kind of get the push? What was your plan going there in the last lap? When did you want to make a move, or were you going to make a move?
I was watching whoever that was in 2nd. I forget who it was. They were looking high about the past lap or 2, and I was waiting for him to take it because I was just going to suck in and then try to follow the 1st place there. And he made that late lap move. We made it a little bit too late, and I couldn't get up there to take the P2 or do anything.
He said in his interview with Ray he was pretty much just going to ride it out in 2nd. So, are you looking forward to the 2nd race? What are your expectations? What are your plans?
But try to qualify a little better and stay in that top 5 all race. They kind of got shoved in the back there. We didn't know how the high line was going to work, and there at the beginning of the race, the high line just wasn't coming in.
Got anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank my sponsor Shenandoah Shine, Galani Motorsports, and Toys for Tots.
Sounds good. All right, Lee, congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Good luck in race number 2.
All righty, appreciate it.
I was actually able to pull up Curtis Critchley, by the way, Seth. Not sure exactly how, but Curtis, Ray Richer, and Bucky Burt up here in the booth. Congratulations on the top finish tonight, man. Do you think you almost lost it there at the end when the number 2 of Howell went to the outside?
No, he got a pretty good run there, and I was just hoping that I was still carrying enough momentum, but that was awesome. He kept me up front pretty well there with a bit of great push, but I managed to just get the restart on him because I think he would have been sitting in my place right now if he got that restart.
Now, if that big wreck didn't happen, the last one before the last caution, do you think you would have had a chance at the top 3 or top 5? I mean, you were up there for quite a while.
I think we could have still got a top 3. I'm not sure if I could have won from that position. I was trying to work with Garrett there, but that wreck definitely did benefit me. Very great.
Fantastic job tonight, man, for a podium finish. Not just that, but on top of the podium at that. Anybody you want, sponsors-wise, you want to thank tonight, man?
I'd like to thank B-Leaf Farms, B-Leagues, and also Rocket Racing Setups, James Root Motorsports, Phantom Graphics, Outlaw eSports, all these people believe in me, and I'm so happy to have them on my car, and also my family as well.
Okay.
Well, Curtis,
go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, sorry. Curtis, congratulations on your win tonight. Obviously, this is going to help you in the points battle. What are your expectations going into race number 2?
I'm just going to try to keep it the same. I think the whole battle is trying to get in and off a pit road pretty good. I think I got a trip up my sleeve that I'm going to try, but we'll see how it plays out. I can't give that away yet.
All right, you heard it here first. Curtis Critchley, your winner. He's got a trick up his sleeve for the next race. All right, congratulations on the win. Good luck.
Thank you.
Race results rather quickly. We'll go down so we get into the second server. Curtis Critchley there on the winners on the front point. Ricky Howell Jr. in second. Lee Morgan in third. Brandon Hawk in fourth. Andrew Navarro for a comeback there after that first press wreck on the way into the pits for fifth. Zach Adams in sixth. Billy Gray in seventh. Peyton Howell in eighth. The 72 of Braden Edwards, who got into a spin, was able to finish ninth. Derek Folden in 10th.
And in 11th place, Kieran Church. 12th would be Mike Adamson. 13th, James C. Wright. 14th would be Taylor Peacock. Garrett Mays is going to come on 15th. That is not the finish he was looking for. 151 of Bradley Wilson to be 16th. 17th to be Ron Hart. 18th, Ryan Joyner. 19th, Chris Johnson. And 20th will be Jared Torres.
And rounding out your top 21, Austin Thiel, unfortunately, he got disconnected right off the bat. So here we go. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with you very shortly. We got to change servers. We're going to get ready for the next 40 laps here tonight on the Outlaw eSports Super Late Model Series. We'll be right back. We want to welcome you back here to Daytona International Speedway for the Outlaw eSports Super Late Model Series. And now we go to the 40 laps on the other side of this whole venue tonight, the other side of the corn, that the Shenandoah Shine 40. That is the sponsor for tonight with these super late models. A couple other guys have joined the field tonight and went from 21 cars to 24, including Pete Polini in the 77 machine, who's qualified 14th. We're going to get your lineup here very shortly. Bucky, what are you looking forward to in the second half?
Well, more cars, possibly more accidents. I mean, it's a recipe, isn't it? But no, I'm looking for a very tight race. We got a teaser, I think, in the first race. These guys, now we know how they're gonna race each other. You got Garrett Maines starting up front again, a new guy on the pole for the second race. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys that are showing up for race number 2 that didn't race in race number 1. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust and how these guys that have been out there that just ran 40 laps adjust to having a new guy on the track with them.
Well, with this all being said, we'll get our lineup for tonight. Brandon Hawk is on the point, and we'll get also an updated points list to your top 10 here very shortly. Brandon Hawk on the point. Garrett Maines on the outside, second row right now. Ron Hart in the 87 machine. Outside of him is Peyton Howell in the 11. Inside, next row, Lee Morgan will start 5th, and Zach Adams in the 7th. Will start 6th. Kernan Church in the 22 machine, who was up front for quite a while, tapped the wall there in the first segment, but able to keep it going. He'll start 7th in the second segment. Outside of him, Andrew Navarro, who still continues to be our points leader in the number 2 machine, will be in 8th place. Ricky Howell Jr., who won the last segment there, second place in the last segment of 40 laps, will start 9th, and Billy Gray will be 10th.
And in 11th place will be Bradley Wilson. 12th will be Charles Robertson. Looks like that's a newcomer tonight for the second race. The 13th, Mike Adamson. Pete Polini shows up. He's going to roll off 14th. In 15th, Derek Fulton. 16th, Bladen Edwards. 17th will be Ryan Joyner. Will Duvall in the 32 will be 18th. 19th will be Curtis Critchley. And he's the last car to take a time. And 20th through 24, it looks like we've got on the field.
That's correct.
Will be Jared Torres, James Seawright, Taylor Peacock, Dan Gallant, and Chris Johnson. Those guys did not take a time. But, Ray, one thing that is consistent here is Garrett Maines is going to start P2. I really felt like he was one of the guys to watch in race 1, but under the first pit stop, coming on the green pit stop there, we know now that these guys can run him 14 laps on a tank of fuel, 15, but they're stretching it.
Yeah, that means 2 pit stops, obviously, with that whole thing running.
Yes, so what that comes down to is now these guys know what to expect, when to come to pit road. Maybe we'll get an even cleaner entrance to pit road on the first stop, if it's green. And will we have a different outcome? Because those accidents there, especially the first one, changed the outcome of this race, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm sure it will be, but there's been a change in the top 10 of points a little bit. Andrew Navarro is in first still. Garrett Maines in second, no change there. But Curtis Critchley with the win last there, up 3 positions into third. Ron Hart, 4th. James Morgan, 5th. Derek Fulton, 6th. He is down 2 positions. Bradley Wilson in 7th. Billy Gray in 8th. Brandon Hawk in 9th. And Bladen Edwards right now your top 10 for the points after the last race. This is the second segment. Again, you're watching Flatout Racing Network as the Shenandoah Shine 40 pace cars coming down out of turn 4. Going to pull in the pits. We're going to let them live for the first time in the second half tonight.
Yep, pace car is going to hit pit road right now. Brandon Hawk's going to bring it to the lead, or to the green. Green flag is out. Garrett Maines is going to get a good restart. He's going to get pushed by the 71 of Peyton Howell, and Garrett Maines is going to take the lead here.
Peyton Howell in that 11 machine was able to pull out just a little bit. Doesn't have enough room to get to the bottom. He's shut real quick by Brandon Hawk, who is our pole sitter in the 53. He pulls up to the back end of the 1, and right behind him looks like the 87 of Ron Hart. The bottom line is forming, and already there. The outside line, though, a little scattered, but not too bad. 5 cars deep, now led by that 11 of Peyton Howell. Is going to get a shove from the 71 of Zach Adams as they go down into turn 3.
Same drivers, second race. One thing we saw, Ray, on lap 1 is they all kind of got single file. Not this time. We got cars up top, And they are making a challenge here for third place.
Well, one of the things I think they did is they learned from the last race, the ones that were still in here from the 21 cars that started the last race. 24 this race, 3 more have joined them, of course. But they realized that they needed to do a lot of side drafting. And with that being said, that 71, a little bit of wiggle there on the outside line. Looks like that 71, I do see there's 2 71s in here, and that 11 is the 71 of Peyton Howell leading that second line on the outside. That has to do with iRacing trading paints. It's not a big deal. The 87 below the yellow line, not giving up or gaining any position. It just kind of got out of line there. The 53, though, giving a push to Garrett Maines. They go down to turn 3, and the outside line is starting to chug along there, Bucky.
Is it the 11 or the? I think it's the 11, or is it the 71?
The 11
shows up 11.
Yeah, the 11 is what it is. That's what they're showing on iRacing, and that's the 11 of Peyton Howell on the outside. And he's got momentum and a shove from the rear bumper to the 71 as they cross the stripe for the third time tonight.
Battle for the lead up front.
Looks like the 11 side.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm getting so confused with these numbers, 71 and 11. Peyton Howell is going to be door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel with Garrett Maines there for the lead, and he's actually going to get the nod.
Yeah, you look right now, there's 2 71s on your screen, but it is the 11 that just pulled down in front of Garrett Maines as in iRacing scoring. You're going to see that go across the top of your screen, and of course he has got the point, and he's got Garrett Maines to help him. Garrett gave a shove for all it was worth during the last race to the leader. The 11 a little below, a little bit of a scatter there, not a big deal. Garrett Maines backs off, avoids the wreck. Outside line is finally learning something tonight, and they got 7 deep on that outside line. They just got to get a little bit more organized, and they'll have runs like this all night long. We just started this race, and geez, we're only 4 laps into it, man, and we're having some action right away here, Bucky.
And look who's up there, the number 2 of Andrew Navarro, your points leader, the guy who started on the pole in race number 1. I bet he feels like that race got taken away from him. He's up here in that Honda trying to get back up to the front where he feels he belongs. And we are double file all the way through the field, Ray.
Watching Navarro, by the way, all over the back door of that 71 of Zach Adams. A little bit of shifting going on from those bumpers, but the momentum right now is on the bottom side, and they've got the advantage. The 11 pulls out a little bit further. Maines, obviously, there in second. Outside line holding their own. The 77 in that line almost touched the outside fence going across the start-finish line. He is about 60 back in that line on the outside, though. The 44, you got to watch him as well. This Charles Robertson, by the way, and one of the new guys in here in the second round. He kind of slid up there a couple times. So he's got to keep it in line a little bit better. Again, that goes back to that ratio. I'm assuming that's what he's doing, is running a low ratio. He's dancing a little bit all over the place on the turns, and that makes an advantage for everybody, including himself, when he can't keep the car straight. But right now, your leader still Peyton Howell as they go down to 4.
We do have a blanker in the back, but it's not going to cause an issue. We still are double file throughout the entire field. Maybe a little break there in the back, but Ray, I wanted to ask you, in race number 1, we saw a lot of single file. Right here early on, we are double file, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for quite some time. A lot of these cars are dancing around the racetrack. Can they get a side draft in these cars? Does a side draft work in the super late models as it would in maybe a truck or an Xfinity or Cup car?
It's not as big as a hole in the air as like a truck or even a Cup car would do. Of course, your trucks are the biggest holes because of the height that they've got on them. But these are lower to the ground by about 6 inches, I would say, off the roof line, if I had to guess from what I've seen in the real world. So again, they do punch a hole in the air. The side of the air comes around the cars. There is a vacuum behind them, but it's just not as big as your bigger cars. There's still draft comes into play. Don't get me wrong, you still got to keep them square to get into that vacuum from behind. But then, of course, Bunky, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of overheating can occur because you're not getting air to that radiator, and iRacing has built that into the sim, so you got to watch that as well. But Navarro, like you said, watch him on that 71. He gives him a shove, 71 to the bottom there, doesn't touch him this time coming off the corner, but down the backstretch they'll go. He'll be back in the throttle, try to get to him as he inches up to the rear bumper. There is a little bit of tap there going down to turn 3, but he's able to hold, and that gives him momentum, though. It looks like Navarro's almost looking to the outside. If not, he gives him a shove down through turn 3. That gives the 71 a little bobble. Unfortunately, that'll slow him up and get alongside the 53, and that's Brandon Hawk. That is in 4th on the bottom line.
If you're Garrett Maines, are you just riding around on the bottom, or do you want to be out front leading this race?
Well, the other thing is, 33 goes to the inside, 71 to the outside wall. No caution as of yet, and finally flies for the first time in the second place tonight. We'll get a replay up that involved the 53 of Brendan Hawk and the 71 of Zach Adams. It looks like they got together there for a bit. Not sure if that was a fault of the two of Navarro kind of getting to the rear end of the 71. Remember how I told you, Dan, so the camera's right now on the 18. I think he was just a bystander in that whole thing.
Well, what looked to be a wreck and just involving like two cars ended up wiping out the whole back half of the field. We'll get that replay up to you. But we are under caution. It's our first caution, lap 8 of 40.
And that's one thing I'm curious about. Again, we were watching that too, Navarro on the back of the 71. He was holding on to it with a little bit of a skittish type thing going on. Okay, here's a replay. We're going to keep an eye on that number 2 car. That's Navarro. He gets to the back of the 71, not touching him. And that just took the air off the back of the 71. I don't know if it was...
It might be... Okay, oh, wow.
Oh, that's what happened. Pile up and everybody checked up behind him.
Yeah, so Brandon Hawk in the 53, he
had it.
Yeah, he had it saved, and then those guys wrecked behind him and just came in and plowed him.
If we could get back towards about 3/4 way through, there we go. Get about 3/4 way through the field, roughly around there. Keep an eye ahead of them. We want to see exactly what happened, who checked up. So we're going to see that here. They come down just across the stripe right about now. Going to keep an eye in the back and see if right up here is where it happens. There goes the 71 to the wall.
Some guys didn't check up.
That's what it is. Some guys didn't check up and see what was going on. See, there was no smoke from that incident, so you didn't see the smoke, so they were back in at full throttle at that point in time. And that's exactly what I believe the problem was. This little incident here was after the fact, but I don't think that was by fault trying to spin him around. I really don't. Just trying to get out of the way. And I do see the 18 machine over there. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's a paint deal because I don't see an 18 on my list. So
what we've got here is a bunch of torn up race cars.
Yes, sir.
And that was literally half the field, Ray. I think the guy that got the worst end of it was Brandon Hawk. Well, yeah, I think. Go ahead.
No, I was waiting for you there. We're all right.
Leaders are pitting here.
Definitely time to do it. Let's see. We are right now 9 laps into this. You're still going to have to stop again. But here's the other thing, Bucky. They also took weight into consideration with these cars, like any race car. You take and add the fuel to it. So say, for example, you're going to add 4 gallons to it. It's 8 pounds per gallon. So there's 32. Basically another 32 pounds around with that. There's baffles in the tank, so don't slop around a minute. But you're still going to have a little bit of shifting weight in the rear of these cars. So keep that in mind, too. You need that fuel. You need the rear weight, but it does throw the rear end around a little bit. So looks like nobody's getting tires. First one out looks to be the 11.
They're going to have to pit again, Ray. There's no way they can make it the rest of the way.
That's
fuel. Yeah.
Well, let's see. If that's the case, now wait a minute. There might be 2 more pits because let's kind of figure this out rather quickly. Okay, they just pitted. It's lap 10 is what they're on. Okay, so 14 laps.
That's what I meant. They can't make it on one more stop. They've got to pit 2 more times.
Yeah. So let's see. They split the difference. They split the difference. Yes, it'd be 2 more times. They got to stop no matter what. So with that all being said, though, Peyton Howell made it out to the lead. Garrett Maines is still in second. The 87 Ron Hart made it out third. Navarro looks like, oh, wait a minute. Navarro is falling back, I'm watching. Of course, we're back to the replay here for just a moment. On board, I'm not sure what the car is on that on board, but you see it. Joyner? 15 of Joyner, we're being told there by our producer. And he gets, he had nowhere to go, unfortunately, and just got pummeled by the outside. Does he hit the inside fence? No, he did get it left rear, but he held on to it for a short while. Then there's a lot of damage done to that car. Again, 24X is the limit here, as he sees a couple other cars kind of getting by him here.
I'm not. If I'm out here on the racetrack, I'm not worried about the X limit. I'm worried about how much damage and can this car make it back around. So
yeah.
So if you like what you see, give this a thumbs up, give it a follow, give it a like, and while you're at it, you can follow me on Twitter at BuckyBurt. You can follow Ray on Twitter at RollCage74.
Which, I'm there. I'm not. I don't use Twitter as much, but yeah, Bucky will be good to say hi for me.
Yeah, that's where you could find us, and tell us that
I don't mind.
Yeah, just tell us that you found us from the broadcast tonight, and we like to interact with everybody. So I hope you're enjoying tonight's broadcast. We are on lap 11 of 40 in race number 2. It's under our first caution. The 11 of Howell's your leader, Garrett Maines second. And if you missed the first part of the broadcast, we announced that Garrett Maines is going to go Coca-Cola Pro Racing next year.
Yeah, he's actually on board with Smithfield, Richmond Speedway, as well as Elliott Sadler eSports, just so you know. And he's going to have a shot, again, depending on the purse is next year, at $400,000. By the way, one of the reasons I'm kind of rushing this, I see the pace car lights are off. Everybody had to rush back around to double up, so that's what they're working on right now. My apologies for interrupting you, Bucky, but I just want to make sure we got that in there.
Yeah, that's all good. And I think he's running a paint scheme tonight with Smithfield on the car. So kind of giving everybody a taste of what that car might look like next season as he battles for a championship in the premier series of iRacing.
Oh, by the way, he has over 2,000 victories on the iRacing service, just so you know. So he's been out there. He knows his stuff. You're going to watch for that paint scheme next year in the Coca-Cola E-Series Racing.
His car is going to duck down on pit road, and we're going to watch Garrett Maines in second place. He's not going to get that restart that he got in the initial. Looks like, who was that back there that did not get the start?
He missed a shift there in the 43.
Oh, and we got a wreck in the back. A big wreck in the back, Ray. Caution is going to come out. I don't know why it had to be thrown. There it is. Yep.
What happened there? Keep your eye. We'll get our replay, I believe.
Looked like a missed shift, Ray. I couldn't make out who it was.
43. That'll be the 43 of Lee Morgan. I'm going to say, let's see if we can get a camera on him on the replay when we get a chance.
Yeah,
I believe he missed a shift, and that's what happened to the whole thing.
Stacked everybody up. A lot of these guys, you look at it and you say, well, why didn't he just slow up? Why didn't he just avoid the guy? When you're running nose to tail with everybody, you can't see in front of you. You see the back bumper. So you got to give a little. You got to be a little realistic here. But we are under our second caution here, lap number 2 of 40 in our second race, and it's getting dicey, Ray.
Yeah, that 81, by the way, that was Taylor Peacock. He was just trying to get around the whole thing and unfortunately got bottled up by the 44 of Charles Robertson. And on board right now, the 81. Keep in mind, you don't see any smoke ahead of you. Green flag's out. You're ready to go. Obviously, these guys slow up. You go to the inside, and suddenly just no room and nowhere to go. And Peacock, unfortunately, just kind of holding on for the ride at that point in time. And I think it was damaged so much that he kind of just got it towed back into the pits.
You sit there and you look and you wonder, well, why didn't he just go up top? You really have a split second to make a decision, and I guess he felt cutting it through the middle would have been the way to go. But the thing is not everybody knows what everyone else is thinking. But this is going to help Garrett Maines. He's your leader, and he's going to duck down on pit road because this would be about where they would normally come down pit road, Ray, for their first stop.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity for the number one of Garrett Maines, as well as Peyton Howell is coming in the 11, and a whole group of other guys, as you see here at the entrance pit lane. And now it'll be the time, like you just said, is get fuel. This is going to be the first of the next 2 stops, so it'll be 3 total.
Navarro's going to stay out.
Yep, Navarro staying out.
And I think they got 2 stops left, regardless, I think.
Yeah, it might be tight. I'm in 14, 15 laps, of course, 30 to go. So, yeah, split the difference. And there you go. So, yeah, we might have at least 2 more stops. Navarro is staying out in that number 2 machine. He is your points leader.
44 missed his pit.
Yeah, possibly.
The 44 missed his pit. I watched him back into his pit stall there. So he's going to have a slow stop.
All right, with that being said, I think we ought to take our second break of the evening here. And again, you're watching the Shenandoah Shine 40. It's a second of 40 laps here at Daytona. We'll be right back with the Outlaw eSports Series Super Late Models. back here again at Daytona at the Shenandoah Shine, 40, the second of 40 laps, as we were talking about earlier, with the Outlaw eSports Super Late Model Series. Right out front right now is actually Navarro is going to be on the point. He did not pit with these other guys, so they got at least another lap or two of fuel compared to the two of Navarro. It looks like Garrett Maines has got his point to the outside again. And, man, you said to watch Garrett Maines there, Bucky. I'm going to go with you. Pace car's pulling off.
Yeah, and we got word under that break there that Andrew Navarro's got maybe 10 laps till he has to absolutely pit. So he's banking on a caution, but they're going to go green. He's going to take it to the line, and Garrett Maines Garrett's going to tuck in. I was going to say they were side by side, but then I guess Navarro got a good run into one. But we're going to go single file for the most part. So what Andrew Navarro is hoping is a caution will come out within the next 10 laps. And he's got the track position if it does, because I would assume everyone will pit with him. So, but what he doesn't want to see is everybody go single file, because if they do, then the chances of a caution coming out is pretty slim.
Yeah, he's hoping for that caution flag, obviously, because of the fact he's going to be 5 laps shorter than these other guys. Again, 14 to 15 laps. 14 is probably the max. 15 is really pushing it, coming in on fumes. At 87, you're looking at on the outside. That's Ron Hart. He was one of the guys in front runners before, but he's got nobody to help him right now on that outside line and nowhere to go. So he's trying to get a draft off the two of Navarro. Navarro falls back in line. It almost looked like on that start that Garrett and Navarro, by the way, had that plan, because they both jumped out to a huge start. Garrett got down into the second place. Garrett's going low, by the way. Has the momentum off of turn 2.
What a move.
Inside. Beautiful move by that number 1. The 87 is looking to split the difference. Possibly
3 wide, 4 wide.
Right off second place.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. It looked like they were going 4 wide, but it was actually 3 wide. Navarro is going to be the loser here on this deal. But Garrett Maines, he's showing some muscle. He's making some moves. I guess he's like, hey, if I'm going to win this thing, I've got to be out front.
Ron Hart still there all alone to the outside with a little bit of help about 4 car lengths back. So that's Navarro who fell back and hung out to dry when they got all shuffled around there. The 11 on the bottom, Peyton Howell. It shows 71 in the broadcast, but I promise you guys that is the 11 machine. We're on board right now with that Peyton Howell machine, right behind Garrett Maines, who is your leader, rubbing him just a little bit down the back chute, and they're maybe about 6 inches from each other. From the rear bumper cam, that's you see the 22 of Kernan Church. Church back a little bit. It looks like he's close, but trust me, that's a car length between the two of them here at Daytona, and that's about 0.10, maybe 0.20 seconds back. He's holding that bottom line, though. No room for that E7 Ron Hart to get in, and we're still single file on the bottom side.
Navarro dropped like a rock. He's going to find a spot there outside of the top 10. So Navarro, the biggest loser that lap, as he drops all the way down to 10th. So he is, I believe, if my scoring is correct. But big loser there. Garrett Maines, your leader. And really not a challenge, though. The 87 is looking to the outside. He's going to pull up and get a nose. But it's not going to be enough. I think the inside line is where you need to be right now.
Well, that's your side draft right there, Bucky, is what we're looking at with that E7. He was right alongside the 11 with Peyton Howell, and he was pulling him pretty good all by himself.
Again, he did it perfectly.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. They were door-to-door, never touched. That's what you want to do. He did a great job of side drafting. The 11 to the rear bumper of Garrett Maines. He is pushing him down through the start-finish line. Right now, lap 20 is where we're at. Next time by, we'll be halfway.
That's right. Garrett Maines, your leader. Sorry, Ray.
It's okay, buddy. No, okay. Bottom line formed up pretty good. Oh, we got a turn! Kernan Church gets turned by the 151. Unfortunately, Bradley Wilson went to the bottom side, lost the draft for just a moment, and got to the inside of Kernan Church, and the 22 goes around. Third caution of the second segment out tonight.
This is exactly what Navarro wanted, a caution right now. And I think he got maybe a little bit of a piece of that. We'll have to look for sure on the replay, but I know everything happened right in front of him. These guys are battling for the 4th position when, what was it, the 22 got turned? Yep, the 22 got turned. And let's see, did Navarro, he might have got a little bit of damage on the left nose. We might have to ride alongside with Andrew Navarro, your points leader, and see if he actually did get any damage there. But this is exactly what he wanted, was a caution, Ray.
give a shot there in that number 2 car. Obviously happening right in front of him. There we go, right from the nose. Good shot there coming down from our producer, Seth Cole. Coming down through that turn. Obviously, there's a spin. The 2 checks up and does get a little bit of damage from the left front of that 22 of the rear deck lid. Because he got its side when he hit him of the 22 of Kernan Church. Just a bit of a ball of wrecks here on the backstretch.
Are we able to get a look at his bumper, or it's just maybe a look just to see what kind of damage he might have?
And we'll take a look at that here in a minute. One more time on the replay. One more time here from the rear cam, obviously right behind the cars. We'll get a play going. Watching that number 2 of Navarro, by the way. That's the red car all alone in the center of this whole thing. There's a rear bumper cam, actually. What he was looking for was a left front bumper, if we can get a shot of that later on after the wreck. Again, this is where it happens. He checks up. You're going to see the 22 of Kernan Church probably fly by here.
We did see some sparks coming out the back of the car, so he probably did get a little piece of that then. There we go. That's what I was wanting.
Got a little Santa hat in the hook there, all ready for Christmas of that number 2 machine. There's a spin, the checkup, and
no,
he did not touch him. My goodness, that was great driving by the number 2 in Navarro. He got out of that scot-free, man.
And everybody pits with him, so this is exactly what he wants. They're all on pit road right now, Ray. And I think, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break while we are able to, and then when we come back, we'll sort them out.
Outlaw eSports Super Late Model Series. We're down in turn 4. Pace car lights are out, and we're getting ready to release them again for the 4th time tonight in the second segment. Brandon Hawk on the point. Everybody pitted. Everybody's equal on fuel. Navarro got what he wanted, but unfortunately, he shifted back to right now 10th place. He didn't want to be there when he got fuel, but he's there now. Let's see what he can do with it. We're on lap 23, Bucky. You let him loose.
Yeah, pace cars on pit road. Brandon Hawk's going to jump before the green flag. I don't think that's allowed. But Garrett Mays is going to follow. Brandon Hawk is down on the apron. He jumped the restart.
Yeah, they're going to take and let the penalty go with him giving it back. So that'll happen right now. He'll get to the bottom side. Garrett Mains will be your new leader. Ron Hart in second, that 87 machine.
Yeah, and because of Brandon Hawk having to drop off of the pace there down on the apron to let these guys go, it really just split the field up. These guys
turn him sideways, able to hold on to it. Not to interrupt you there, Mr. Man. 11 right now, Peyton Howell gaining advantage to get out of the way there below the yellow line. Not sure if they'll call that or not, but he took over second place, and Mays held on to that at 180 miles an hour. Fantastic job by our leader.
Well, that's your Coca-Cola iRacing. Oh, we got the 44 sideways. These guys 44. Are trying. These guys are trying to bring out a caution, Ray, but definitely exciting here. But, so all that really did is it didn't really bunch everybody up. We're still spread out.
Man, I'll tell you, talk about wreck avoidance. It was just, the wreck was there. It just didn't get avoided. It just kept going. So top four right now, pull away. It's Marines, Howell, Hart, and Robertson in that 44 machine there. Robertson in your top four. Second half of that, behind that, Curtis Critchley, who was our winner in the last segment, holding on that 54 machine in the second draft. They come around down to turn 4. And we'll see if this pans out even harder. I mean, they're going to have, 15 laps to go when they hit the stripe.
Single file, single file, single file. And you said it, 15 to go at the stripe. That means what, Ray? One more pit stop. Is it going to be under green or is it going to be under yellow like everything else?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be one more pit stop. There's going to have to be because, again, if they got fuel right now, by the way, 44 is going to the outside. He's going to do a little side draft on the 87 of Hart. You're seeing that just off the front of the 54 of Curtis Critchley there, the hood cam. As he goes down through, he gets shoved out of the outside. The 87 kind of gives him a little tap, goes to the top, but the 44 has momentum all on his own, and believe it or not, he's gaining, but now equal with our second place of Peyton Howell.
Ray, do you remember who it was that told us that he had something under up his sleeve for the second race? It's slipping me right now. Do you remember who it was?
I believe that was Ricky Howell Jr., but he is back 3 laps down in 16th. He actually finished second in the first segment. And I'm pretty sure that's who it was, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, he's out of it right now. He doesn't have a chance to win it unless they had 3 cautions, and obviously he'd be the lucky dog. But that 44, I got to give him a little kudos there. Charles Robertson just took over second place spot on the outside all alone. A lot of side drafting going on, and he's doing a phenomenal job on it, putting on a show. It looks like the 87 Ron Hart was going to join him there for a moment, but ducked back down for the lower 3 and keeping that draft on the bottom side going.
You know, it's amazing watching the 44 here of Charles Robertson try and battle for the lead against Garrett Mains, because literally 2 laps ago he was sideways, and now he has used that side draft, which we haven't seen at all until the second race, and he's really given it all he's got there. He's going to pull side by side with your leader Garrett Mains as he leads that lap. Garrett Mains does. We have 13 laps left on the board.
8 laps in of a 40-lap segment, and I have never seen anybody do that single file by themselves on the outside line like that ever and still pull up and be successful at it. And he is doing a fantastic job. He is now side by side with our leader of Garrett Mains. Mains still holding on with a draft from behind. It might be something different with these cars, but I'm telling you what, that is a phenomenal job by that 44 to do what he's doing all alone. But the bottom side draft is actually broke up just a little bit. They got to get closer. The 4 cars behind him, leading with the 87 of Ron Hart, has a chance to catch up to the 11 of Peyton Howell and try to get this bottom draft going to take it away from the 44 of Robertson. But Robertson, a challenge for the lead on the outside, all of his own. No side drafting at right now. He taps the rear end of Garrett Mains as he tries to wiggle his way in. Doesn't happen. Now it does happen with the wide hole. Main gets away, and he's all alone up front. Single file, bottom side.
Well, Ray, I've managed to do it on the outside like that all alone. I've actually managed in the league that I race, and we run Xfinity cars. I've actually managed to
video, or it didn't happen.
Oh, it's on the broadcast. It's on the broadcast. I've done it.
See it one of these days. Either
I
way, man.
literally drove from like 18th place and just like shot up through into the top 10 there, or top 5 on the outside with no help. So it can be done. You just got to hit the draft right and get a momentum.
You're going to have to give me that little secret away, I'll tell you, because I didn't know how to do that. But, man, fantastic job by you and the 44, being that there is proof out there. And, of course, he can prove me wrong. So right now, top 7, 8, 9 now in a single file. draft on the bottom side, holding their own, which I'm amazed that moves have not been made yet. 11 laps to go, going to be 10 to go when they hit the line this time by.
Remember, one more pit stop is what they'll have to make because they're not going to be able to make it on fuel. Garrett Main still your leader, Robertson second, Howell third, and that's Ron Hart, the number 87. He's in fourth.
Now, one thing I'm curious about, Bucky, because everybody's on a low line, I'm wondering if they're getting ready to pit, and that could be the case. See if anybody steps out here. Not just yet. So you don't want to be caught on the outside, obviously. You want to get down to the pit and stay out of everybody's way, but it looks like that's the 7 of Derek Fulton to the outside. He's going to try it on his own all by himself. And the other thing is, with that being said, and I'm sure you can concur to this, if you go to the outside all by yourself and you can still make it up through, you're on the floor constantly. You're wasting a little bit more fuel than anybody else being out front or up there all alone.
Yeah, I'm wondering if these guys, what's going through their mind, are they thinking, all right, we're going to have a green flag pit stop, or are they expecting a caution? But the way these guys are lined up right now, it sounds like they might be communicating with each other and saying, hey, let's finish this under green. Let's do some green flag pit stops and see how it shakes out.
Well, it's going to happen for green flag. If not, a caution may happen before then. Of course, like you just said, we're kind of keeping an eye on that. That Fulton car, number 7, he's in 6th. He keeps stepping out of line, trying to do something on his own. Here he goes again, around the outside of Curtis Critchley in the 54. No run this time. A little bit of help, but that help is 3 cars back. A little off on the camera there, but obviously now you see it. That 74 to the outside. No help from him. That's Chris Johnson. Peyton Howell is calling right now about fuel, so everybody's keeping an eye on their fuel gauges, which they don't necessarily have gauges. They have estimators in iRacing of how much fuel you have left in gallons as well as laps. So again, Maine's out front, 44 in second. Robertson third will be 11 of Peyton Howell. We have 32 laps on the board, 9 to go. Going to be 8 next time by. We're going to watch for green pits.
Yeah. I've been watching that car, number 7 there. You say he keeps running up top. I don't think he can keep it on the bottom, Ray. I've noticed he just keeps drifting up. So I don't know if this is by design or if I just don't think he can keep his car. He does have a little bit of damage on the left side. I don't know how much it's affecting his car. But the outside line is working for him, that's for sure. But I've just watched him. I don't think he can hold it behind a car that steady right now with the damage he has. Well, I could be wrong, but it just looks like that to me.
He has the.
I don't think any of these guys are thinking. I don't think any of these guys are thinking pit stops right now because just as we thought they were getting single file to make a run on pit road. They are back to double file. Looks like Garrett Mains is going to stay out this time. Going to keep going around. 7 laps to go at the stripe, and someone's in the wall. Who is that? I can't make out the number. It's an all-black car.
74 of Chris Johnson, by the way. He gets shuffled back to 9th.
Okay. Well, looks like Fulton in the 7. He's making a charge. He's battling for second right now, making the outside line work for him. But Garrett Mains is still your leader. I don't think he's even going to move up top to block. He might, but we'll see here as we are on the backstretch going into turn 3.
Yeah, one thing I'm watching for Garrett Mains, he's pulled away by at least 2 car lengths, and that could be a boo-boo, but I'll tell you what, with these cars, maybe the arrow's different because, as I said before, you get lined up with a draft and you get one car way ahead of you, that draft can get a run and get around you, but Mains is doing just a job that I don't think I've ever seen either by being himself out there with no drafting help, not getting sucked back into the draft, or these guys drafted to catch him. The only thing I got a theory about is maybe with the outside line being almost the same amount of cars with 5 on the outside and 4 on the in by themselves in the draft. Maybe that side draft slowing down the inside line might be helping Mains by himself out there going along. But, man, he's cutting the air pretty good, wasting a ton of fuel. Let's see. It's lap 35. We're going to have 6 laps to go right now. Actually, 5.5 if you want to count exactly where they're at. We're still looking for pit stops.
We're going to definitely see the pit stops within the next 3 laps for sure. And if I'm Garrett Mains, I'm perfectly comfortable pulling out ahead the way like that. The only thing he has to worry about is if he stays out and everybody behind him pits, then he's a sitting duck. But with these guys running side by side, it's a higher chance of a wreck happening. And I know Garrett Mains does not want to be involved with that.
Listening to the radio, by the way, nobody said a word to each other about, okay, we're going to pit here or fuel here or anything like that.
Well, would you? You got 5 laps to go. I don't think I would be telling anybody.
Well, it depends because, again, we believe with 14 laps that is all you're going to have in the tank. I'm going to believe these guys got to pit here sometime soon. Maybe there's something incorrect, but that's the information we got with 14 laps.
Three laps, I expect. With the next 3 laps, I expect them to come down pit road because with my math, it looked like they were going to be 2 to 3 laps shy. So I'd expect them to either come down pit road here, which they're not going to, or maybe the next lap, because there's no way they can make it on fuel.
Well, my curiosity is why are the guys on the outside if that's the case? I don't know. It's just kind of curious, but
maybe they're going to force the bottom to force their hand. I don't know.
Usually
maybe they're not doing math behind the wheels. Maybe they don't. Maybe they think they can make it. I think we're gonna. If they don't know they have to pit again, then we're gonna see some cars run out of fuel.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility of happening. Let's see. Listen to the communication right now, just talking amongst each other. Nobody's saying anything about pit. We did get a question between one of the cars of the 151 of Bradley Wilson. He says, "Hey man, you got damage," and Peyton Howell comes back and says, "I ain't telling you." So regardless, they're turning around talking who's drafting who and who's holding who up. And it's everybody's still flat out going. And as we're talking here, 4 laps to go, at the stripe. And these guys are still, 3 laps. Okay, I got to read that correctly, and maybe I might be able to give you the right information. So with that being said, Garrett Maines is at the point, and I believe these guys might be able to make it to the end. It's unusual for the information we got, though, Bucky.
Yeah, if they make it to the end, then I guess I need to give up my job here in the booth. But please don't do that to me. But yeah, no, I think this is Garrett Maines' race. Even if they have to come down pit road, I still think they can pull it out. But I mean, yeah, I was gonna say they're getting pretty racy now, and they're starting to catch him. Everybody is side by side except the leader.
I'm amazed that they weren't as racy as they were now from before. I mean, obviously, everybody on the floor. 2 laps to go as we hit the start-finish line this time by. Fulton had a run down the backstretch just for a little bit there. He pulls off a bit. The 44 Robertson is holding his own on the bottom, obviously with a push from the 87. They're both catching up to Garrett Maines, and the outside line is losing steam. A lap and 3/4 to go as they come off a turn 2.
Yeah, the outside line started to get real racy with each other, and when they did that, they lost their momentum. Garrett Maines is going to pull out about a 2-car length lead over the 44 of Robertson. And Ray, if they don't pit here, then I guess they are just going to run it out of fuel or run to the... Is that Bill Murray on the hood of... Oh, we got it wrecked. No,
he's held on to it. They're still going straight. The 87
wow,
there.
What a save.
Got doored by the 7 just for a moment, just because of a little oversteer. Everybody kind of scatters around the back, and we have a white flag in the air.
This is exactly what Garrett Maines wanted to see. His only challenger is the 44 of Robertson, and he is there. He is all over him. He's inside him, basically. As he's up underneath him. I shouldn't say it like that. But anyway, he's all over. At least on iRacing, he will look like he was. But he was all over. Now he's about a car length behind. But it's going to be close here between these two. Is he going to have enough steam to make a charge? He's making a run on Garrett Maines, but I don't know. I think the only way he's going to get him is he's got to move him.
The draft in the back actually has a run right behind him. The 44 was able to do it alone. He's to the rear bumper of Garrett Maines. He goes to the outside. He's got a side draft. Here's his chance out of turn 4. The draft goes way to the bottom line. 2 at the stripe, and the number 1 of Garrett Maines is the one that wins tonight's second round in the 40 laps of the Shenandoah Shine 40 here on Flatout Racing Network.
And these guys made it, Ray, without pitting. I really thought for sure they were going to have to pit again, but Garrett Maines picks up the win tonight. He's going to go celebrate with the fireworks on the back straightaway. Look at him doing his little burnout.
You got to realize the only information we have is what we feed you. We were told it was 14 laps they can make it, maybe 15 on fumes. And in this case, it was a little bit longer than that because they pitted 17 laps before the end and everybody full throttle. So, again, we apologize about the information screw up. Either way, Garrett Maines is your winner tonight for the second round of Daytona of 40 laps. He comes down the backstretch. We'll get our interviews here very shortly.
Well, Ray, I was never good in math, so that could be
Me either. We were just told it was 14, but I'm not pointing fingers. It wasn't you. It wasn't you at all, Seth. Anyways, but with that being said, we'll see if we can pull some guys up here for some interviews. Peyton Howell, we'll see if we can get up first.
Yeah, let's go down the rundown here.
We can do it quickly before this right time.
We got it on the screen. So Garrett Maines is your winner. Charles Robertson in second. Peyton Howell third. Ron Hart 4th. 5th is Derek Fulton. 6th, Lee Morgan. Bradley Wilson 7th. Andrew Navarro 8th. Curtis Critchley 9th. Mike Adamson 10th.
Pete Polini will finish up 11th there. Chris Johnson will be 12th. Kernan Church in the 22 machine will be 13th. Brandon Hawk will be 14th. 15 will be Billy Gray. Ricky Howell Jr. will be your 16th finisher. Bladen Edwards in 17th. Will Duvall in 18th. Taylor Peacock will be 19th. Torres, who had our connection problems earlier, will be 20th. Zach Adams is 21st. 22nd, Ryan Joyner. Dan Gallant, 23rd. And James Seawright will round out your top 24 for the second round tonight here at Daytona. So we're going to pull Pete Howell up and get a few words with him. If you would, Bucky, off to it.
Third place finisher, Peyton Howell. Pretty good run for you tonight. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, I sit there and save fuel most of the race. And then those final 2 laps, I was trying to push Derek, but he had a bunch of damage, and I just couldn't get him up to Garrett. So on that final lap, I thought we were all going to wreck on every 3 and 4. And somehow the 87 saved it. And so after that, I had to sidetrack Derek, and then me and the 87 just couldn't get back to him in time.
You brought up the fuel. How close were you guys to making it or running out there at the end?
I was at 0.8 coming across the line, so I couldn't have made it down the back stretch. I'd have been out.
Okay, yeah, because we thought for sure you guys were going to have to pit one other time, but I guess you saved a lot under that caution. But who do you have to thank for tonight's race?
I'd like to thank Butt Kicker and Phantom and everybody here at Phantom and y'all for putting on a good broadcast.
Right.
We appreciate that. Peyton Howell there on the podium tonight for third place. Great run tonight, man. We appreciate you being here, and we're looking forward to next week.
Thank you.
Peyton Howell, third place finisher. I don't see Charles Robinson, so we won't be able to get him, but we will get our winner up here. I'll take that away here. Garrett Maines there in first place, took it to the top, able to hold on. A little bit of shoving going around out there tonight, man. Tell us how you got it done at the end.
I honestly, I was kind of surprised I was able to save so much fuel out front. I guess everybody else thought they were like a lot shorter than they were. I was able to save a lot and be way faster. So I think everybody was just kind of overcompensating there. And I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, okay, well, I'll just keep backing up to you. You want to keep going slower, I'll just keep going slower with you. And,
well, that was one thing that surprised me, by the way. I don't mean to interrupt you there, but it seemed like you got away from the field, and those guys were 2 by 2 behind you, at least 3 car lengths back. And for you to run alone like that was quite impressive to stay away from them for at least 5 laps, at least what I saw.
These cars, I just finished telling somebody this, they're a lot more like ARCA than it is, NASCAR. Like, to compare, you don't really get massive runs on people. And what's really weird is you can almost hit top speed without getting full throttle and like by yourself. And so it's almost like the way they're geared and the amount of drag that they have just doesn't allow you to go but so fast. And you lose corner speed not being wide open, but if the people behind you don't go wide open either, you're fine. So it seemed to be one of those things where everybody was kind of being affected the same way, and draft didn't play enough of an effect to really make a difference. Like, literally when we were pushing earlier in the race, that was the only thing that made a difference. Like, you could tandem basically and keep up with the pack. It was very weird. It was an unusual thing. But I mean, super lates on super speedway are kind of unusual themselves. So,
well, that was one thing we were observing, especially like with the 44 Charles Robinson. He was all alone on the outside doing a lot of side drafting with everybody behind you, and was able to catch up side by side all alone, all by himself. So again, maybe it's the aerodynamic difference with these cars, maybe the gearing, like you were saying, and obviously they're a little bit different at a super speedway. And well, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Bucky, any words for Mr. Garrett Maines here?
Yeah, Garrett, first off, congratulations on the win. And Ray was telling us at the beginning of the broadcast, you had an announcement today where you were selected to run next year in the Coke series, eNASCAR series. So congratulations on that. What are your thoughts now that you can actually express them live on the broadcast?
Yeah, it's been actually it's been a short season, but it's been a long year with RTP. We just everything came together at the very end of the season the right way, and did everything we had to get into the Pro Series. And the Pro Series has gone phenomenal. Everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports has put in so much time and effort to make the cars as good as they can be. And I mean, it's shown. We had outstanding finishes everywhere but Daytona. I mean, Daytona we were above the top half, so that's still a good finish. But everywhere else, it's been phenomenal. And just to be able to grab the points that we did and lock in 4 weeks into the series is just crazy. And I got to thank everybody over there just for all their hard work.
So with this announcement, and you go into the top echelon of iRacing, what are your expectations? What are your goals? What are some things that you guys are going to be working on to be competitive in that series, and really for your own personal platform with racing?
Well, I think the goal, just as it usually is to stay in the Coke Series, top 50% of the points. I mean, I can tell you it's probably a lot easier in the Pro Series to be in the top 50% than it is the Coke Series. I mean, just everybody in the Coke Series is so good, and the top 50 are the people that beat the bottom 50 that are now battling with us in the Pro Series. Just to put in perspective, it's very tough competition, and everybody's got to stay on their game and stay committed, and just put in the hard work to keep the cars good. If you start slacking off, you're just not gonna be able to perform. And I mean, we'll just have to see. I don't have a lot of experience, at the top level. I mean, this is our first year in pro, so to see how it's gone so far in the Xfinity Series, definitely given us some hope, especially with that being some of my first races in that car since it got redone. But I've got experience in the Cup car, so I feel like some of that stuff's going to transfer over, and just being able to pick up some stuff on the setups and just take everything we've learned over the last year, put it into the cars. I think that'll be a good step in the right direction. Well,
a pretty good day for you. Congratulations on the win here in the second race. I honestly thought you were the guy to beat in the first race until you guys had that mishap getting on pit road there, and then obviously the late caution that took you out. But congratulations on winning race number 2, and congratulations on all your success on iRacing. I'll be rooting for you and looking forward to the rest of this season and your racing going forward.
I appreciate it, man. And I also got to thank Smithfield, 101 CBD, SimSeat, Strickland Hardy, Bradley Mechanical, Linux, and everybody. I said already, everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports, and also Richmond Raceway Esports for all their support.
Just a quick question for you, Garrett. Obviously, we want you running that Smithfield paint job. Is that a preliminary paint job? What might be happening, obviously, in the Coca-Cola E-Series next year?
Smithfield sponsored me all this year. We're really hoping that'll carry on through the Coke Series. It's more than we discussed in the past. So I think it's going to be really cool if we can keep them on the car for years to come.
Appreciate you being up here. Great win tonight. Over 2,000 wins on the iRacing service, and that make one more for him tonight on the Outlaw eSports Series here at Daytona. Garrett Maines, congratulations on first place. And with that all being said, my name's Ray Richard, and for Bucky Burt, Seth Cole on the cameras tonight, live here from Daytona.
One more thing.
Go ahead, Bucky.
Do you like bacon, Ray?
I love bacon, baby.
Me too. All right, that's all I had.
Okay. Smithfield plug there. That's what it is. A little shameless plug, but you know what? Doesn't hurt anywheres when you can get it out there. So you just got done watching the Shenandoah Shine 40 from the Outlaw eSports Series Super Late Models. We'll see you next week here on Flatout Racing Network. For Bucky Burt, Seth Cole, I'm Ray Richard. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Good luck, good night, and we'll see you next week.